Hi, everybody. I'm Mike, and this is Mike Miller Talks Life. Today's quote: our actions speak louder than our words. We say a lot of things. Many people, everywhere we go, people are making statements and comments. We say things like, I love you, I will support you, I will help you, I will donate to that, you can count on me, I'm going to make this change, or this is what I believe, or I'm opposed to. We make a lot of statements. And the quote says that we communicate with our words, but our actions also communicate. And they, in fact, communicate louder. They are the actions are what communicates what we really feel and what we really believe. Jesus Christ said about some religious people that he was having an encounter with, by their fruit you will know them. Their words are not the way to tell how real their faith is. It is by looking at the fruit, looking at their actions. Our actions can affirm our words. I could say, I love chocolate cake, and I eat chocolate cake every time it's around. My words and my actions go together. My words are affirmed by what I do. I could say, I'm committed to health and fitness, and I, in fact, eat a healthy diet, and I'm on a regular regimen of exercise. My words are affirmed by my actions. Our words, our actions can also contradict our words. I could say, I love chocolate cake, and never eat it. So there's a contradiction there. If I really loved it, I would eat it. I can say, I'm committed to health and fitness, and yet I rarely exercise, and my diet is not really very healthy. There's a contradiction between my words and my actions. And this kind of a contradiction creates a gap. And if this gap is allowed to continue, we end up losing credibility. We hurt people that are close to us, and we hurt ourselves. When there's an ongoing gap between our words and our actions, this causes us to live with a lack of character, confidence, and live with regrets. We judge people based on action, not just their words. We often hear, or maybe we've even said it, you said you would do that, and it's not done. We're making a judgment on their actions. And we do this with our boss, we do it with family and friends, co-workers. We make these kinds of judgments based on what they do or don't do, not only what they say. This is a big problem in our world with our politicians, because they make so many commitments, and yet often they're not able to, or they never intended to, actually do those. And we are always talking about them, and it's based on that, hey, look, they're not doing that. We judge people by their actions, not just their words. We need to close the gap between what we say and what we do. When this gap is closed, it builds character and integrity. Integrity is wholeness. And this wholeness, if it's absent, the absence of a gap between what we say and what we do is wholeness. We are a whole person. Words and actions match. And this is what integrity is about. It develops confidence in life. When we develop this habit of not doing what we say, we end up lacking confidence. We lack self-confidence. This habit is eating away at this life confidence that we really should have. and it prevents unnecessary stress. When there is an incongruency between words and actions, it creates an inner stress that just eats away at us. So closing the gap will bring some positive benefits in our life as well as in our relationships. We need to start closing this gap in some key areas. First, where trust is needed. When we don't do what we say, when our words don't match our actions or our actions don't match our words, we are losing trust. And man, I feel like there's nothing much worse than not being trusted, especially by those key people in our life, our spouse, our children, close friends, our coworkers. And so we need to bring a closure to this gap when we need to build trust, a trust environment. We need to close the gap in our faith. Real faith is about action. And the most inviting faith, the most effective faith and exciting faith is to actually have a faith where people do what they say. Practicing our faith like this helps grow our faith, and it becomes a strong faith, able to sustain us through life. Those beliefs that we hold, if we're people of faith, like our belief about prayer and being generous, serving others, believing all people have value in the eyes of God, loving our neighbor as ourselves, these are nice words, but they actually can become powerful words when we begin to actually live these out. We need to close the gap in our marriages. The core of a good marriage is trust. And trust comes from matching words and actions. And when you look at the most attractive marriages around you, people who have been married a long time and yet the marriage is still fresh and they still enjoy being together, this is because these people continue to do what they promised to do at their ceremony, their vows. And they don't just talk about love or talk about other commitments, they actually do it. And the marriage is magnetic, it's exciting. We need to close the gap while we are parenting. Much of parenting is really modeling. Our kids learn a great deal from us by simply watching us. And so if we're in the habit of not doing what we say, or if our words and actions don't really match, it's not that we intended that, but that's what's being played out. They observe that, they learn from that, and sometimes they're wounded by that. So we need to match those words and actions. I think we need to do this when we respond to a crisis. Often when a crisis arises, there are needs. Calls go out for help. Many people offer to help, but the ones that really make a difference are the people that show up to help. They said they would, and they do. Responding to a crisis is a great way to match words and actions, to do something. I think it would be helpful to maybe ask yourself, am I currently doing what I say? Is there some area in my life where I'm not totally doing what I say? I've been kind of letting it slide maybe. That means that there's an area in our life that there's a gap growing. And that gap is going to have negative effects on us as individuals and on the people closest to us. Maybe it's good to actually think before we speak, before we make some kind of a bold statement, or before we make a commitment. Can I actually do what I'm about to say? Or do I actually intend to do it, or am I just saying something? You know, we don't have to make commitments. We can actually be choosy about the commitments we make. But if we do make a commitment, we really become obligated to do that commitment. If there's a growing gap between words and actions, it is actually robbing us of credibility, of a life of character and wholeness as a person. And none of us want that. We want a life of power and character and confidence, which comes by words and actions matching as much as possible. Don't forget, our actions speak louder than our words. Thank you so much for tuning in today and listening, and I hope this gives you some things to think about, and I hope you felt this comes from I care. I mean, I want you to have this life confidence that comes from words and actions matching. And so I hope this has been helpful in some way. And if it has, I hope you'll click like, maybe subscribe if you haven't. And until next Tuesday, don't forget, our actions speak louder than our words.